Here we go, guys. Another week of lessons. So I'm going to teach you lesson 147, 148, 149, and 150. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but we are getting awfully close to the end of your math book. So let's just keep plugging along. We can probably do just about 4 lessons a week and still be done in about a month. So let's talk about square roots, how they are related to squares. We've already been talking about square roots. I've been making you give me the answer to like 3 square root, the square root of 3, or 3 squared. So you've had a little bit of this already. Let's look at the top box. So the area of a square is the product of the side by itself. So that means side by side. 3 times 3 will equal, let me move this a second so I can see my pen. I always forget to do this, don't I? All right. Yeah, I can put it right here. All right, so side by side, or side squared. 3 squared means side by side, 3 times 3, and that equals 9. All right? A small 2 written to the right, I'm reading right here, and above a number is called an exponent. So I've not talked about that too much, but that little number up there is called an exponent. The exponent 2 means to multiply the number, or the base. So in this case, the 3 is the base, and you're going to multiply it by itself. So 3 times 3, okay? The process that is the opposite, and this is the part I have not talked to you guys about, is square root. So squaring something is 3 to the 2 power would be 3 times 3. That's squaring something, okay? The opposite of that is square root. And that is shown by this symbol right here. And you make it by making like a little check and turning it into a division box. The symbol square root is used to show that a square root is to be found. So 25 square rooted means you are looking for 2 numbers multiplied together that equal 25. And of course that is 5 times 5. So 5 to the 2 power is 25, and the square root of 25 is 5. It's almost like multiplication and division. They're opposites of each other, and that's really what you're doing. You are multiplying here, and you're dividing here. So it's like the opposite. All right? So just know that when you see the exponent with the 2 up top, right now they're just doing 2's, that means to square it. 3 times 3. When you see something like this, what would that be? That would be 3, because 3 twice equals 9. And this equals 9. All right? Let's look at the story problem. Missy Johnson planted a square flower garden. Each side is 8 yards. So what is the area of her garden? So her garden is square, and that's an awful square. But it's 8 yards this way and this way. So it's a perfect square. So the area of a square is side squared, or side times side. 8 times 8 is 64 yards squared. Mrs. Taylor's classroom is in the shape of a square with an area of 81 yards. So we already know the 81 yards is the area. The question is, what are the sides? Well, we could do this. Let's square root it. What 2 numbers multiplied together equal 81? Well, that would be 9. So the square root of 81 is 9. All right, let's do the squares first. You ready? So 1 squared is 1 times 1. 2 squared is 2 times 2. 3 squared is 3 times 3. 4 squared is 4 times 4. 5 squared is 5 times 5. 6 squared is 6 times 6. This is why it's so good to know those multiplication facts lickety split, so you can go through these real quick. 7 times 7. 8 squared is 8 times 8. 9 squared is 9 times 9. 10 squared is 10 times 10. 11 squared is 11 times 11. And 12 squared is 12 times 12. All right? Now we're going to do the opposite. Now we're going to find the square root. What two numbers multiplied together get 1? Right? 1. What two numbers multiplied together get 4? What two numbers multiplied together get 9? What two numbers multiplied together get 16? What two numbers multiplied together get 25? Oh, do you see a little bit of a pattern here? Don't just write in the numbers. Think about it. What two numbers multiplied together get 36? What two numbers multiplied together get 49? What two numbers multiplied together get 64? All right, now I'm going to say, what's the square root of 81? What's the square root of 100? It's the same thing. What is the square root of 121? And what's the square root of 144? All right? All right, we're already to our review. Let me see. Let's look at number 4. Write the percent for the rainy days. The total is 10. So they're already giving us the total. We don't have to total them all up. So 5 out of 10 is what? 1/2. What is 1/2 as a percent? It is 50%. 3 days out of 10. That cannot be reduced. 3 out of 10. 10's easy. That's just 30%. 6 days out of 10. That can be reduced by 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 10 divided by 2 is 5. That's 3/5. So let's review. 1/5, I'm doing this on the side, is 20%. 2/5 is 40%. 3/5 is 60%. And 4/5 would be 80%. All right? So 3/5, I wrote it over here, 60%. 9 days, 9 out of 10. That's easy. 9 out of 10 right on a test, because on a 10-point test, everything's 10 points each. So if you got 9, 9 times 10 is 90%. 1 day out of 10. Well, that's just 10%. All right? All right. Let me see where we're at here. 147 back. All right. Write the percent of $1. Okay, so I'm only going to do the first one with you here. If you have 55 pennies, that's 55 cents out of how many cents? 100. Okay. Before you change to a percent, let's reduce it as much as we can. It looks to me like 5 will go into both of these. So 5 goes into 55 11 times. 5 goes into 100 20 times. That's 11 over 20. Now, if we want to find the percent of I don't think we even have to do anything. Let me just, I was going to divide. Oh my goodness, we don't have to do all that. Because just think about it, it's 55 out of 100, right? So that would make it 55%. I made it harder than it needs to be. So for instance, this is 3 dimes. That's 30 out of 100, which reduces, you can see, and it's 30%. All right, do the other two on your own. I was totally going to make that harder. I was going to do 11 divided by 20, which, by the way, if we do that, that's 100. We subtract, guess what? We get 0.55, which is 55%. So we get the same answer, but there was no reason to make it that difficult for you. All right, write the percent that is yellow. So you're going to, like, for instance, I'll just look at C with you. Let me look at, is C black? Yeah, I'm going to look at D. All right, so first of all, you're going to count how many shoes you have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How many are yellow? So you're just, oh, now we have to change that to a percent. Remember on the other side, 1/5 was 20%. Okay? These are easy. Remember, this is 25 times 25, and this is 37 times 37. Okay? Find the perimeters. Remember, the perimeter of a rectangle is 2 times the length plus 2 times the width. Perimeter of a square is just 4 times all the sides. That's sides. Ugh. Getting worse. Times sides. Okay, that'll work for the other two also. Find the areas, on the other hand. Number 9, A. The area of a rectangle is the length times the width, and it doesn't matter, but don't forget the length is the longer side, which is 8, and the width is the shorter side, which is 6, but in multiplication it doesn't matter which you do first, you'll get the same answer. All right, area of a square is the side squared. So it would be 5.1 times 5.1. And then C and D, same thing. With this right here, don't let that trip you up. What I would do if I were you is, okay, so remember the area is length times width, right? So your width is 6 feet. I would just change this 5 feet 3 inches. Get rid of the circle. I would change that to a fraction. It's 3 over 12, right? 12 inches in a foot. And then reduce that to 1/4. Now change that to an improper fraction, which would be 21 over 4. That's a 4. And then start multiplying. All right? I think you guys are good to go. I'm going to let you go at this point. This is a nice short lesson, but it shouldn't be too hard for you. Remember, greens will be extra credit. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.